So Burton realizes he has to prepare to travel to Africa to find the exercise boy who grew up into the man named Kokumo, which gives Reagan much more time to interact with the kids at the center.
I'm autistic. I can't talk.
But you're talking now. Yes, you are. I can hear you.
What's the matter with you?
I was possessed by a demon.
What?
Oh, it's okay. He's gone.
Oh, that's okay then. No, actually, I think I'm gonna go back to my first reaction. What? God, who wrote that line? That was awful! Why would you admit that so casually to a stranger? And a little kid, no less! She'd be scared shitless! So, what's wrong with you?
I was possessed by a demon. Oh, it's okay. He's gone.
So it turns out Reagan brought the child's speech back with her sporadic psychic powers that she suddenly possesses, which doesn't make Nurse Ratched the least bit happy.
Do you think I could start helping some of your other kids?
You know, Reagan, it's really very dangerous to fool around with other people's heads. Please don't try anything like that again.
Yes, just disregard the magical telepathic child and the incredible machine that can read minds. Good God, this woman could downplay a healing chihuahua if she could. But Reagan wants to find out more about her abilities and talks with Burton in a museum.
Do priests believe in ESP?
Some do. In fact, a French priest tired to shut down thought that we'd all come together eventually in some sort of mental telepathy.
Well, that's fascinating.
A kind of world mind.
Uh-huh.
In which everybody would share.
Interesting.
Father Merrin himself believed that with modern scientific research it could happen quite soon.
Intriguing theory.
But if it happens before we're ready,
uh-huh,
we may find ourselves pointing in the wrong direction.
Uh-huh.
Towards Satan.
What the fuck? For God's sakes, you don't have to work everything back to the devil! Just let a theory be a theory! 2 + 2 = 4. Which could possibly be Satan. So Burton finally travels to Africa, comes across that ridiculously hard-to-reach church, prays to South Park Jesus, and even manages to point them to the lost body of where that one servant fell years ago.
How did he know the body was here?
He was killed by Pazuzu, a very powerful demon.
Pazuzu?
Funny, it looks pretty close to civilization there, and yet nobody ever looked behind that one rock. Did they never smell him at all? Did they think it was just bad African cooking? I'm a little confused.
He will not speak to a devil worshipper!
I'm not a devil worshipper! I'm not a devil worshipper!
How dare you solve one of our great mysteries, American Satan! So he calls on the help of a 2-minute Ned Beatty cameo to fly him around to see if he can find Kokumo. Aw, what a beautiful sunset. In that it's literally a sun on a set. I don't know who they're fooling with that.
Help me.
So Burton communicates with Reagan, again with those handy out-of-nowhere psychic powers, and she leads him to Kokumo's location, which, coincidentally, is only 3 steps away from him. Boy, when it comes to fires or African boys that were possessed by the devil, he always seems to be in the right location.
I call upon you in the name of Father Lancaster Merrin.
So we see Kokumo, played by James Earl Jones with a locust muppet on his head, as he tells Burton that if he wants to speak to him, he must test his faith.
Prove it. Cross over. Step out of your despair.
So he spits a tomato onto the spikes. Makes sense to me, I don't know what your problem is. And Burton tries to make it across.
Can I help you?
I fell.
The heat, perhaps. Come inside, it's cooler.
Who are you?
My name is Kokumo.
Did you ever know a Father Lancaster Merrin?
Let me guess, we're just totally going to ignore the fact that he fell on top of a bunch of spikes and James Earl Jones was dressed like the kindergarten production of District 9.
Yes.
That's what I thought. You know, this film raises so many questions that nobody drunk or sober would ever want to answer.
When it is dry, the grasshoppers go their own way, happy-go-lucky individuals. When a heavy rain hatches them out in large numbers, why then they crowd together so that their wings brush against each other. The brushing of the wings changes their personality. They become a destructive, voracious, marauding swarm with a single mind.
So he traveled all this way just to discover what he could in a National Geographic, as Reagan decides to run away and try to find him in order to continue their psychic link. And wouldn't you know it, they happen to meet up.
Not only Kakuma, but others like him began to appear in the world. Satan has sent Pazuzu to destroy this goodness. Philip, you must take my place. She is precious, and I entrust her to you.
So the spirit of Marin is in Reagan, I think, but they need to stop Pazuzu, who is also in Reagan, I think. You know, I'm sorry, didn't we spend a whole goddamn movie trying to get this spirit out of her? How the hell did she end up with two? Two fucking spirits! That's the exact opposite of what you were supposed to do! Instead of taking one out, you put another one in! I think you deserve your money from the collection plate back! So Burton feels all the answers are at the original house where the first exorcism took place. Ratchet and the caretaker find out about this and get a cab to drive them there as well. There, Burton discovers that the room is... You know, if you like locusts and really slow blinking lights, this movie is probably a godsend to you. Oh, yeah, I'm sure after a car gets totaled by smashing into a brick wall and a metal gate, I'd walk out with just a scratch on my head, too.
Sharon, I've got to get inside. Let me inside.
In answer to your question, I have no idea why she did that. Maybe the idea is she's being possessed too, or maybe she just cracked at some point. I don't know. What I do know is what's going on inside. Oh, wait, no, I don't.
He's chosen me. Pazuzu's Reagan is the only Reagan.
So I guess there's somehow two physical Reagans now? The Pazuzu one, who's looking an awful lot like Dwight from The Office, and the good one, who, for some reason, is having a hard time stopping Burton from acting like a perverted pedophile. Pazuzu's more weird than he is scary.
You must tear out her evil heart.
Up there, cousin, identical cousin, all the way.
So, I'll give you one guess as to what's coming up next. Either, I swear to God here, more locusts or more blinking lights. Well, seeing how we just encountered the locusts a few seconds ago, I think this calls for even more goddamn locusts! You know, maybe this climax would be more fitting if you were fighting Gozer, but for an Exorcist movie, this is pretty overdone. So Burton literally punches his way to her heart. Insert Kalima or fatality joke here. While the good Reagan tries to figure out how to stop the locusts. That's right, it's... I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what this is. Somehow she's defeating the locusts like the little boy with the slingshot, despite the fact that she has no slingshot, yet she can dissolve them away. I hear the credits on the way, so I'm just gonna skip over this.
An enemy of the human race is subdued.
That is until Exorcist 3, which will somehow involve George C. Scott.
I understand now. The world won't.
So, only now do the people come out to look at the damage. I guess the car crash, constant screaming, and house demolished by locusts didn't wake them up. Heavy sleepers. As Burton and Reagan walk into the sunset to live from a world that will never understand them. Much like how people walked away from this movie because we will never understand it. While it has some neat ideas, the execution of this film is really goofy. For an Exorcist sequel, it's pretty piss poor, especially when you take into account it's never scary. Oh, I don't mean like they try to scare you and it fails. I mean, literally, they never even made an effort. There's no jump scares or scary imagery or anything like that. It's really weird that way. While it's nowhere close to one of the worst sequels I've ever seen, it's still pretty bad. And should only be brought out if you have a locust fetish or enjoy torturing your retinas. Hey, I know that 0.0001% is out there somewhere, and I think he directed this fucker. I'm a nostalgia critic, and I want to be sure I never go through Nostalgia Ween again, and I'm willing to go through any ridiculous lengths to make that happen. My God, I think it worked. I think I never have to do Nostalgia Ween again. Oh my God, this is incredible! Oh, thank you, great spirits! Is there anything I can do to repay you? Oh!
I was possessed by a demon.